Hey, what's up, blues fans? John with the Blues Guitar Institute here, and this is your Tuesday Blues lesson number 39. Today's lesson is all about bar chords, and this is a request from BGI member Gary Brisky. And Gary, like many of you, was struggling with, how to make a bar chord sound good. I mean, at its basic core, that's what we want to do. We want to play these things and, put our fingers in the right place, but we also need to make sure that they sound solid. And I'm going to take you through a few tips that I figured out over trial and error, and quite honestly, after a decade of playing, I realized my bar chords sounded terrible. So I went back and retooled some things, and I've got them sounding pretty solid now, so I want to share a few things that really helped me. So with that, let's grab the guitar and I'll show you these tips. Alright, so for bar chords, this is definitely something that I struggled with, and I really want to pass along a few tips for you that might help you get cleaner bar chords. It's going to take a ton of practice, but here's my approach. First thing is, I like to start with minor bar chords, so something that sounds like this. So that's a B minor bar chord. Okay? But really, when you think about it, these three fingers here aren't doing anything when it comes to the bar. You don't need them. The only things that are really going to sound underneath the bar are what the first finger is doing. And that's true with most bars, pretty much all the bars that I'm going to play anyway. So a first finger bar for the B minor needs to have these two notes ringing nice and clearly, just like that. So strip away all the other fingers, get them kind of over the fretboard, but don't worry about them, don't think about them. What I want you to do is pick these two and listen for the clean notes. Now, if you're not getting them and you hear something like this, especially on that top string, which is a little tough for us, there could be a few reasons. And one of them is, depending on how your finger is, you really want to make sure that you're not trying to fret that with the crease in your hand. Now, no one ever pointed that out to me, but I was checking out a guitar video one day, and the instructor said, make sure that you're not running the string directly through the inside of a knuckle, because how are you ever going to push that cleanly up against the fretboard if that's what you're doing? So I would definitely inspect that. And if it takes you shifting the way you fret a chord just slightly to get out of that crease, then I highly recommend it, because it's going to be a whole lot easier if you're on just a flat part of your finger. And another trick to kind of help you do that is to make sure that you fret. And a lot of times when we fret, we're straight down, but notice I've kind of got my finger rolled on its side. That's another way, because this is definitely a flat part of your finger. So if you put your finger down and then roll back a little bit, you're kind of creating a little bit of a clamp there, and that's just going to help the note fret properly behind the fret. So definitely work on that and consider those couple of things. And as you move on, if you've got those sounding good, then throw the other fingers on there. But really, I suggest working with the these fifth string root chords like the B minor. At least in the very beginning, they're going to be the simplest to get down because they only have the two under the bar. Now, once you get really confident in that and you've got really good sounds coming out of the chord, then move on to a full bar chord, which is covering all 6 strings, like this G major chord here. And employ those same techniques. Start out just by making sure that you've got the 6th string here and then the top 2 strings, because those are really the only ones that are under the bar. And for a lot of us, it becomes this second string that doesn't really ring out so well. And this happens in my playing, and I have to catch myself. See, that first time I picked that out, it wasn't that great, but I automatically adjusted myself. And see, I've kind of got my hand rolled back a little bit, so I've got that clamping thing happening. And just to show you, my thumb is sort of in the middle of the neck here. And that just helps kind of create this little like vice, you know, on the fretboard. I'm not using a ton of pressure, but yeah, more than it would take to just do a regular chord, for sure. So that is clamping it down and helps get all 6 of these strings sounding nice and clean. And of course, when you move this around, that would be the next step. So you start with the 5th string root because there are only 2 notes under the bar. Move on to the 6th string root, and then work on moving the chord around. And then at some point you'll want to work on moving in and out of bar chords, you know, from open chords like that. But go ahead and check out the tab to this lesson, because I've got a nice little practice routine for you that will really help point out if you've got some weak spots in your bar chords. And you know, hopefully these tips have helped you out, and you know, just really focus on making sure that you've got good clean contact behind the fret. Make sure you're doing that roll back and that you've got a good little clamping action going on, and that you're playing those notes cleanly. So bar chords are definitely one of those things. It's a huge stumbling block for new guitar players, and it's actually something that, you know, like I said in the intro, a lot of folks, myself included, can just kind of cheat and get by and play for a decade or more, you know, and not really have a good, solid, you know, good sounding bar chords that they can call on. So this is definitely one of those things that separates decent guitar players from rock solid guitar players. So I hope you dig those tips. I really hope you put them into practice, and I hope it helps you out. And of course, if you have any questions, just shoot me an email or hit the contact page on bluesguitarinstitute.com. All right, that's it for this lesson. I'll see you next week.